Okay, Artillery Sidewinder fanboys, you're gonna hate this video. That's okay. I'm gonna show you why you probably don't want to buy an Artillery Sidewinder. Very simple, and I want to make this very quick. There have been different versions of this printer come out as they improved it. They have a version 1, this is version 1, they have a version 2, 3, and I believe they're up to version 4 right now. I'm going to show you the problem with this. People who own versions 1 through 3 were being left in the dark. We're being left behind. They're not producing our parts anymore. Now this might be a supply and demand issue. Maybe Artillery is still printing these parts. I do not know. Right now we know the coronavirus and the demand for 3D printing parts is extremely high. Supply is very low and we cannot get parts for our printers. This printer in particular is very unique in the fact that it uses ribbon cables instead of traditional wiring to get power from the main board all the way up to the individual components. Since it's using ribbon cables, they have printed circuit boards that will actually adapt the traces to standard headers. So we have a sensor header and a motor header, and then it transfers down here, and again we have another breakout board that transfers from the ribbon to the standard headers. What I have found was when I was working on my printer, I had magic smoke come up here and something burnt out. I changed the ribbon cable first because that's the most common problem. The ribbon cable did not fix my issue. What was going on was after the smoke, I could not reach printing temperatures on the hot end. It'd stop about 185 and then it would do a printer halt, printer or heating error. So after I changed the ribbon cable, the second thing I did was when the ribbon cable did not work, I changed out the thermistor and the heater cartridge. Again, I could not reach printing temperatures. So the third most logical thing would be the PCB. I went online. I went to several places. Everybody was out of stock, but Friendly Hobbies, they were also out of that board, but they had what they called the Never Down kit for the versions 1 through 3 that had that board in the kit, along with a few other parts, another printed circuit board, some more ribbon cables, a heater cartridge, a heat break, and nozzles. But they said the version 1 through 3 kit was in stock and that I could order it. So I placed the order and they shipped it. And then when I opened the package, they tell me we're out of stock of the version 3 board. They didn't tell me that through an email. They didn't tell me we just charge you $85 for a $30 board. That actually I think you can buy these boards for like 20 bucks or less on eBay. They didn't tell me that they were out of that board. So they did what I consider a bait and switch, a straight up bait and switch at Friendly Hobbies. Thank you, Friendly Hobbies, Timothy Ward, and everybody there at Friendly Hobbies in Henderson, Nevada, or Las Vegas, Nevada. Thank you guys for doing that bait and switch. Now, it might not be the guys on the floor. It might not be Timothy Ward's problem or his fault. It might have been the guy running the website. He might have just not known they were out. That the kit itself was not a kit. It was a pull parts kit. Normally, they would sell these parts separately if you need them separately, but if you just want the entire kit, they'll build the kit for you out of what they have on the shelf, and then they'll send it out. Bad form. You made me spend 85 bucks for crap I really didn't need just trying to get that one board. So here's the problem. Since they do upgrades, since they change this from a version 1, 2, or 3 to a version 4, they change the functionality of the pin headers. Compatibility is exactly the same. They have the pin header and they break it out to the normal standard headers, and it lines up, it mounts, everything connects up exactly the same. What I understand is this is why we have different versions. This actually says 1.5. They took some of the power headers and changed them around, and somebody did the breakdown of exactly what that was. It's on the Facebook user groups, the official Artillery Sidewinder user group, and they changed some of the power traces from what this was to what this was. Now I have not laid them down side by side so we can see the traces individually. I'll probably do that later. But here's the gist of it. No matter what version printer you have, these are very unique parts. This is very unique. This is very unique. The ribbon cables, you could probably get those anywhere, but you're going to find out these printed circuit boards are very unique. Nobody else is printing these. When they decide that that version is no longer profitable to print, they will stop printing it. That's going to leave everybody else behind. So we are never going to be able to get parts again for this printer, specifically printed circuit boards like these. And there's another one down here inside the chassis that goes from the motherboard to that breakout board, printed circuit board, hits the ribbon cable, changes to a ribbon cable, and another printed circuit board, and another printed circuit board. We're going to be left behind. So this is not a long life printer specifically because of that. When they do changes, we're going to be left behind. Yes, some of you are going to say that's just how it goes. Sure. But you can still buy parts for a 1956 Ford. You can't buy parts for an Artillery Sidewinder produced 2 years ago. That's the problem. So if you was like me and you spent $800 on this printer, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, I don't remember exactly, you expect that printer to go on for many, many, many years. Keep functionality exactly the same, improve the part, make it compatible, make it backwards compatible with other previous versions, or hell, just sell me a whole new hot end. Would that be hard? That makes no sense. It makes no sense why it would be incompatible. No sense. The power, this goes to those. This goes to those. Why would you make it incompatible? So that's where we're at. So this is what I say. If you own the latest and greatest Artillery Sidewinder, it may be produced for a few years. That doesn't mean they're not going to have a version 5, a version 6, and leave you behind. So that's your warning for buying an Artillery Sidewinder. You're going to be left behind when they change parts. And when they stop producing, you won't be able to get those parts anymore. That's it. Avoid it, because you won't like it. So now, what's going to force me to do, and probably the thousands of other users with the Artillery Sidewinder, we're going to all be forced to do the ribbon delete. We're going to have to run wires just like every other printer on the market, just like the Enders and the CR10s, the TiVos. You pick your printer. Everybody else is just running the wires from the main board up to the hot end to the axis. And that's where we're going. We're going back to square one. So that's the problem.